who is the most vulnerable to experiencing it, right? Is it limited to helping professions, or
Mm.
any employees in any role can experience it?
There is usually an assumption that it only happens to certain job titles
Mhm.
like nurses or counselors, as psychologists, therapists. So those in caring professionals where compassion is like the currency of the work. It takes up much of the work that you do. They're definitely at a higher risk. So that includes social workers, first responders, teachers, HR professionals, just to name a few. But it also extends to roles that people may not always think of in this context. So, for example, customer service representatives. So, a lot of them are usually on the front line, constantly facing the public, absorbing their concerns, frustrations, or complaints. Like day after day. So there's a similar exposure there emotionally, even though it's
Mhm.
not always labeled as caregiving. So just like we talked about earlier, compassion fatigue is really emotional and relational labor. So that also happens for work like customer service representatives. And it's also not just limited to those professions or in the workplace. Can also show up informally. Like for example, if you're a manager and usually sige tumatakbo yung mga subordinates mo or colleagues mo when they have problems, when they need support. Also, if you're the type of colleague na uh, everyone usually naturally confides in, gusto ng mga tao mag-share sa'yo. And if you're simply empathic by nature and mas nakaka-absorb ka ng mga strong emotions and you take on what's around you without meaning to, ganyan. And I would say also in the family system, so it could
Mhm.
also show up like that. Like for example, if you're a mother, na you're taking care of a toddler, you're taking of care of children, and if you're a daughter, a son, you're taking care of an aging parent. So that could also you could also be prone to experiencing compassion fatigue because there's still a lot of emotional labor at work there. So more than the job title, I would say it's really about regular exposure to people's difficulties and having to do emotional labor. And most of the time, like since it's like labeled as compassion fatigue, like not having the right support to process it or having minimal recovery emotionally.